Well, look, there's nothing like the sixth year of a presidency, a second-term presidency, going through what is almost always a bad election cycle, which we're likely to see for Democrats this fall. At the very best, they'll hold on to the Senate barely, but give up seats, and at the worst, of course, they'll lose the Senate and lose seats in the House. You know, it's always been, at least in modern history, a problem for incumbent presidents, and President Obama is no exception. I think that there's a tendency to, in an election year and in an environment where you know, there are a series of things often beyond a president's control that aren't going well, that it begins to snowball, and you begin to see that reflected in polling numbers. But I don't think that this is qualitatively different from what we've seen in past presidencies.
We have a very short time here. I know you're used to being behind the podium, but my question was, how do you think he's handling it?
Well, look, I think that he's handling it the way that you would want a president to handle it. He's being very deliberate. He's assembling a coalition to deal with ISIS in Iraq and Syria. He's you know, having the United States take the lead in providing assistance and dealing with the Ebola outbreak, and he's handling the political situation as best he can, raising money for Democratic candidates and only going to those states where his visits would be helpful.
So, Kevin, here's a problem. There's a new CBS poll. It shows that 36% of voters said that President Obama has a plan for dealing with ISIS, while 56% still say he still doesn't. He announced a 4-point plan to the country a month ago. So why is that perception still out there?
Well, look, I think the reason that is because that 4-point plan came after the president took to the podium and the White House, as we all remember, in that famous press conference, and he said, look, we don't have a strategy yet. And then in the space of about 2 weeks before he actually really began to find his voice, began to sort of build a consensus for a strategy, in that 2 weeks, his reputation with the American people as being someone who has a clear understanding of the threat and had a definite plan to confront that threat, it suffered irreparable damage. And I think it's going to be hard for the president to ever really regain that level of trust that he has a clear plan to deal with some of these enormous challenges that we're facing, namely this crisis that we're facing with ISIL.
And that's with the American people. But Jay, you know, Leon Panetta made several media appearances this week while shopping his new book. In one interview, he suggested simply that President Obama might have, quote, lost his way. It can't have former members of the administration speaking out like that. It doesn't help.
Well, sure, it doesn't help, and I'm sure the president doesn't appreciate it very much. I think that it's when you have a situation like ISIS and you have a strategy that you're employing, and unless and until it actually works, the American people are going to be rightly skeptical. That's inevitably going to be the case. I think I would question the idea that the harm done here is irreparable. I would say at this stage in the Clinton presidency, people thought he was so irreparably damaged he might not survive in office, and he ended as a very popular president and continues to be popular to this day. Similarly, Ronald Reagan went through a very bad year 6 in office and recovered. So I think President Obama can do the same, but it's up to him, and he will have to deal with the situation that emerges after these midterms. He'll have to continue to take the fight to ISIS and continue to explain the strategy that he's pursuing, and then fill out his last 2 years with a lot of energy and a lot of action.
You not only have that, you have Robert Gates, who wrote a memoir, you had Hillary Clinton's tome, and of course you had Leon Panetta's book. But then, you know, Kevin, even former President Jimmy Carter has jumped on the anti-President Obama bandwagon. Listen quickly.
Yeah, and you know, for those in the White House,
both of their secretaries of defense, after they got out of office, have been very critical of the lack of positive action on the part of the president. He's been delayed. Sometimes he draws red lines on the sand in the committees, and then when the time comes, he doesn't go through with it.
How bad is it, Kevin, if you have Jimmy Carter criticizing you?
Yeah, I think one of the big problems, too, is that it's more easily dismissed criticism when that type of criticism may come from a partisan voice, some Republican opposition up on Capitol Hill. But that's one of the big challenges that this White House has right now, is that not only is it just one person like Leon Panetta, but it has been a chorus, and it has been the same consistent criticism, that the president has been ambivalent, that he hasn't really risen to the challenge, and he hasn't been forceful enough in dealing with some of these big challenges that are on his plate when it comes to national security.